Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm back at Thorpe Park for Fright Nights, which should be really fun. Here for 3 days, staying up till Halloween, the most wonderful time of the year, of course. Today I'm going to be taking things a bit easy. I've got 2 sets of mazes booked, just getting straight into it, to be honest. Got to park a little bit late. I was staying at Premier in Hub overnight, so I had to, have breakfast and stuff. So I'm here about just coming up to 12ish now. I'm going to be first going into Black Mirror Labyrinth. Just thought it would be a nice thing to start off with. It's sort of like a maze, isn't it? So, can get me geared up for the real ones. Hopefully no one thinks I'm an actor in there. I've had that so many times over this season. Hopefully Thorpe don't mind me being an Alton Towers character, Skin Snatcher, obviously. Will be a different character tomorrow. Not going to reveal what that is now. I don't know whether I'm having another video yet or not. I'll be being a Thorpe Park character tomorrow, so yeah, you'll get to see that, which is exciting. So yes, I guess I'll see you when I come out of Black Mirror Labyrinth. Good start to the day. Okay, so come on, Black Mirror Labyrinth. It was an alright run, out very quickly. We weren't really in there for too long. And there was actually someone from, I think, the group in front of us who got stuck. They even nearly went out of a fire exit because they couldn't find their way out. It was an alright run, just wasn't really in there for too long, so it was okay. I think also, because it's not a proper scare attraction or anything, it's very samey a lot of the time, so you can kind of predict what's coming. Then I also had some lunch at Burger King, so yeah, I think that's full me up for the day now, to be honest. So next I'm going to be going on to Walking Dead the Ride. It said 100 minutes earlier, but now it's 35 apparently. But on the cue board sign it said may contain actors, so yep, that's making me want to go in there, because I've never actually done it with actors in the exit corridor before. I don't know whether they'll be in yet, because Fright Nights hasn't really started yet. That is one problem with this event, where the Fright Night stuff usually only starts after 3, which I guess is good for guests who, don't want the Fright Night stuff, but for people like me, I want to get into it straight away. And at least Towers, they normally sometimes do it at 1 o'clock when Maze is open, so it'd be nice if Thorpe could do the same. So I'll be heading on to Walking Dead the Ride. It's always a nice little ride, this one. So I'll see you when I come off. Okay, so just come off Walking Dead the Ride. There weren't any actors in the end of it. I think that sign just must be up just in case if there are, maybe when Fright Nights actually starts after 3, possibly. But yeah, so far, no actors. But I went through with a really lovely group, honestly, because you have to get, if you're a single rider, you have to be paired up with someone. And they paired me up with someone that she was really nice, honestly, really nice about the costume, really a load of fun. Sometimes that's the thing which really makes my day in a way, just meeting people like that. It's yeah, it's just really nice. Now I'm going to be going on to, I think it's Quantum. It's either Quantum or Vortex or whatever. It's that one. That spinny one. It's a spinny one. That's what it is. So yeah, I guess I'll see when I come off. Honestly, I'm just going on this just to kill some time before my maze. There's this queue's about 40 minutes, so yeah, I'll just kill some time. So yeah, I'll see when I've come off Quantum, Vortex, whatever, Zodiac. One of the, I know it's not Rush, the non-Rush one.
I've discovered sleep mode on my phone changes because my phone, I charge it every 4 minutes, and then there's fucking notifications going off at night. It's like,
Okay, so just came off Vortex. Really funny thing just happened just then. So firstly, queue line was longer than advertised. That's not the funny bit. but we basically got stuck on it at the end. But the funny thing is that while they were waiting for the text to come along, we had to wait for it to stop swinging. So it was literally just waiting for it, and it was slowly coming to a stop. It was just so funny. Yeah, we were on it for about like 5 minutes, just waiting for it to stop swinging. So Fright Nights has now actually started, about 35 minutes into it now. So I'm going to start doing some mazes. So I'm going to be going to trailers there behind me. Thought I might try and do least scary to most scary. So trailers, Creek Freak, then the unknowns, terminal, and survival games, which I'm assuming they're going to be in that order of scariness, going by the invitation. So I'll be going into trailers. Went into Breakout Bozos over Carnival. That was pretty good. Got some more scares in there, mainly because I got to go through on my own and stuff, because there wasn't really too many people who went through. So hopefully get some good run-throughs tonight. It's definitely more intense, I think, the main maze. So yeah, we'll just have to see what it's like. I think there might be a few updates as well, so that'll be interesting. So yeah, so I guess I'll see when I come out of trailers.
Bring up the front thing.
Okay, so just came out of trailers. It was an alright run. I think because of where I was in the group, didn't necessarily get all the scares. There was a group in front of me, so didn't necessarily get every scare. Got a few good ones. I felt like we were not necessarily rushed through, but we went through quite quickly. I feel like the actors could have tried to stop us a little bit more, but yeah, you know, nice little thing. I noticed as well all the posters have been updated to sequels, which is pretty cool. They've added a few little updates, like in Hoodoo Voodoo they've now got a guy, like a really tall character, and they've taken away the tables so we can go around the whole room. That's really good. In Cell Hell they've got like devil masks on now. That's pretty good. 7 dolls, they finally had an actor in there. Well, it's now 8 dolls, so yeah, they better have another actor in there. But yeah, so they actually had an actor, which, you know, last year they didn't. It was just literally go through nothing. Most of it's still the same, but, you know, still a strong maze, I'd say, to be honest. I think if I was at the front, I probably would have got a few more scares. But yeah, nice maze. So next I'm going to be going into Creek Freak Massacre. I only went through this twice last year. I always felt like it was a very quick maze to get through, and because of the lack of actors from last year, didn't really have the best run-throughs. Hoping they got loads of actors in there now, especially with Creek Freaks Unchained now being a roaming team instead of a scare zone. Hopefully they got more actors in there, so yeah, hopefully have a good run through Creek Freak.
Who are you supposed to be, Chucky?
Skin Snatcher.
I don't know why I asked you at Big City though.
Yeah. Could probably join you guys, couldn't I?
Why you saying we look silly? Why are you dressing like a buckaroo in the sawmill boy?
Thought might as well dress up for you guys.
That's
Why not?
Well, the thing is, you ain't got any limbs on you because we pay tax.
Nah, just a bit of skin.
Just the mask, yeah. Who you hiding from? No, this is person that's like you. We're gonna have to take your head off when we get in there. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure, why
That's
not?
what I like to hear, boy.
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear. We'll be seeing y'all in there real
Yeah. Okay, so I've come out Creek Freak. It's probably the best run through that I've had of that, to be honest. I managed to get to the front, really intense jump scares. Not many actors in there necessarily, but the actors' scare acting abilities were really good. Like, they managed to get a lot of scares in there, even though it didn't really feel like there were as many. There were a few like blank spaces, I felt, but I mean, in a way that kind of built up tension, so that was good. Another good thing that they have is on the exit ramp, they actually have some actors there, so they can do a bit of interacting with the queue, but they can also scare people on the way out. Brilliant idea. I feel like they should do that with more mazes. That'd be great. Overall, really happy with Creek Freak. Probably my favourite tonight so far. So it's beat the trailers. Of course, I do have a set of run-throughs later on, so we'll see how they hold up to that. So I'm just standing outside Vortex. It's closed, probably broken again. I was just about to say that I'm going to go into the Invitation, but now I'm going to go into the Terminal. Basically, Thorpe's version of the Invitation, more like a sci-fi theme rather than vampires. I'll be heading on in. Don't really have high hopes, not gonna lie. Maybe it could be better than the Invitation, I don't know, but I've heard people say that it's not great. There have been some changes, because there were some changes to the Invitation. They've added like a few other effects. They had like water effects to the Invitation. There's like a hatch at the top which goes down at the start of it before the lights go out. They've added actors in at the end in the cage, which kind of helps, but honestly it doesn't improve it enough to make it a really good ride. There have been changes to the Terminal, so yeah, we'll just have to see if they hold up.
No, I want to be like a more is that one of
Okay, so just come out the Terminal. Actually really surprised with that. I think that's probably because my expectations were quite low from the Invitation, but I would say that was actually a scare attraction. I mean, it wasn't the best scare attraction, but it actually had scares. It actually made me jump at points. This might be more the updates they added, but there was a guy, basically there were people you could see, sort of, they had like a little light which went past sometimes with like a smell pod and stuff like that. They also had someone who must have had these like two red glowing dots which are meant to be eyes and went right in your face. That was actually really good and that actually made me jump. I thought the look of it inside was much better, had some really nice lighting, the pod's much more comfortable, which is good. The only thing I would say is the story wasn't really there. It was more of an experience rather than a story-based thing. So I would say that I actually liked it more than the Invitation, but I wouldn't say that it was a good scare attraction. It was fine, but it wasn't great. But also another thing I would say is that the batching wasn't as good. So normally with the Invitation, I think they would bring in multiple groups into different chambers. With this, they did one group at a time, which meant that the queue was much longer, which is a shame. Anyway, I'm now going to be going into the one that I'm anticipating the most, which is survival games. There's the poster back there. I'm really anticipating this because this is the first free roam maze I think I've done since 2019 with Subspecies. That was a very hit or miss maze because the actors couldn't really control where you were. But I've heard that Cabin in the Woods, which was here years ago, that was another free roam maze, and they did a really good job with that. So I'm hoping with this one, especially since it's the biggest investment that Fright Nights has ever done, hopefully it'll be a really good attraction. So I'll see you when I come out survival games. Okay, so I've just been through survival games. Basically felt like a higher budget but less kind of varied version of Subspecies. Bigger budget, bigger area. I mean, I wouldn't even really necessarily... Yeah, I mean, it was probably a bigger area and it felt like bigger sets and stuff, but it was over and done with within like a couple of minutes. It wasn't even really a pre-show for it, to be honest. I did like the fact that at the start you were put into like different cages, and so that's how you went into the maze. I was at the back of the group by the end of it. Don't get me wrong, there were some scares in there, so that was good, but for a lot of time there was a lot of dead space and the scares were very quick and sporadic. I will say one good thing is that they use a lot of weapons and stuff, and that makes it a little bit scarier. Don't just opt for a chainsaw, you know, they have the finale someone with like a big mallet, so that's a good one. But yeah, I'd actually say it's probably the most disappointing thing I've done today. Higher budget Subspecies, really. That's what I'm say. And considering waited quite a while in the queue, quite disappointing, I'd say. I'd probably say I preferred Subspecies. At least Subspecies had a bit more variety with each room. Had a really good pre-show, had like the blackout room, had a load of themed bits. I felt like it had some more character to it as well with the actors. While with this, it just didn't really feel like there was any character to them. And also, not really too many actors in there for this. So I've only got about 35 minutes to complete my second combi, so I'm just going to try and do as much as I can. So Creek Freak's on 15 minutes, I'm going to try and do that. Might do trailers if I have time, but I have to catch a bus to get back to Staines. So we'll have to see. It was on an hour last time I checked, so we'll have to see what I can do with it. But anyway, I'm going to go into Creek Freak. This was probably my favourite one of the day. For the scare zones as well, probably going to do them tomorrow. I want to do them first time in the dark, so that means I can get the best experience. I'll try and get a couple of run-throughs, the scare zones, maybe for Monday as well, we'll have to see. I'll probably do a summary when I get back to the hotel room, so that's probably where you'll see me next. But yeah, it's about to head back into Creek Freak, so I'll see you back at the hotel. Okay, so I'm back in the hotel now. Just went through couple of runs of mazes, so went through Creek Freak, which another really nice run through. Actually got to go through the Wattenwood Tunnel, which was pretty cool. Had to watch out though, because in the front flap of my dungarees there had my phone, so I was very worried about it falling out, so I had to make sure that it doesn't, and make sure the mask didn't come off or anything. But yeah, that was quite cool. Good run through. Got some really good scares in there, and also I was slightly ahead of the group, which means I was basically kind of alone throughout the run through. So yeah, got some really good scares, especially some coming from behind as well. It was brilliant. It was funny as well when I actually went into the pre-show area. I think I made the actor corpse a bit. If you don't know what corpsing is, it's basically where an actor kind of breaks character, usually because like they found something funny or whatever. And I think he just saw me and was like, yeah, he corpsed a little bit. I saw him smile, and then that's when he put me to one side to then put me through Rottenwood. And then I just about managed to get into trailers solo run through. I love going through that maze on my own. I mean, going through any maze on your own is great, but I did trailers on my own during Carnival when it was Breakout Bozos. It's a fun maze to do. I would say on that run through, and the reason why I would say Creek Freak was the strongest today overall is because on that run through, I feel like they were wrapping things up a little bit. Like, for example, in Bozo's Play Zone,
there was no actors in there at all, which is actually kind of creepier in a way. Like when you're kind of expecting an actor to be in there, it kind of feels weird when there's no actors in there. I think the only thing scary would have been just like the music just cut off. Like that would have been terrifying, but still a fun run through. Another thing was that in the Seven Dolls area, there wasn't any doll actors, but I'm used to that anyway. And to be honest, that would be the scariest bit anyway, so I wouldn't want that, to be honest. But it was weird because now in Hoodoo Voodoo, I think it's Hoodoo Voodoo Trouble in the Bayou, I think that's what it's called. The actor from that room is basically like a really tall actor, and they've removed the table now, so this tall actor can just like go around the room. It's really cool. But that actor, for some reason, was at the end of the Seven Dolls corridor, which is a bit weird. And then he went back to his room, and then I saw him in that room, and he did a good jump scare. But it was like that and Bowser's Playzone, they seemed a bit off, was the thing. But the acting was great, the pre-show was great. The actress who played the dentist character in Beyond the Chair, she was really good. The only actress in the room, and that's the other thing I would say as well, in that run, the actors were a bit more minimal, but they did a good job regardless. She was probably the best actress in there. You know, for interaction, she was great. Really awesome. It's just so cool to do maze run-throughs on your own. I mean, when you know the maze, I think you don't want to go into a maze straight away. Like, for example, if I went into survival games completely on my own for the first time, you kind of want to build yourself up to it. It's like if I went through Altonville on my own, like on my first visit to Scarefest this year, you know, you have to build yourself up to it, I feel like. And I feel like with trailers, it's a maze which I feel comfortable going through alone. Granted, there weren't as many actors and not all the rooms were filled. I don't know how I'd deal with it with a full amount of actors. Obviously, I didn't manage to get my other combis. I didn't manage to get another survival games or another terminal, which means that, kind of wasted a bit of money on that. I guess it's just because it's a busy day. I mean, the thing is also I got stuck on Vortex as well, so I didn't actually get to start my mazes at 3. I started queuing at maybe 20 to 4, 10 to 4 even. It's just been such a busy day today, so I'd say that if you're going on a busy day, don't book 2 combis because you're not going to be able to complete them. I mean, with towers, they would open the mazes at 1, which means you'd have an extra 2 hours. With this, they open at 3, so you don't really have another option, which is unfortunate. Again, I haven't seen everything from the event yet. I'm going to be going to the scare zones tomorrow, probably tomorrow night. I want to go through the scare zones when it's dark for the first time, just because I want to get best run through I can. Fortunately, the clocks are going back tonight, which means it should get darker earlier, which means as soon as it starts to get dark, heading straight into those scare zones. I'll get my mazes done in the day, so hopefully they'll be all done. But again, the thing will be is like, depending on how big the queues are, I could get into the mazes at 3, get out of them at 8 o'clock, and then I've only got an hour left. I'm just going to hope that maybe it's a Sunday, maybe people don't want to go on a Sunday. But yeah, hopefully I should be able to get through that. It is only 1 combi after all. I'll just get into the mazes straight away at 3, get through my combi, try and get through the scare zones. Overall, it's a fine event, I would say. I'd say Creek Freak's gone out on a high, because I know that this is last year. I think Creek Freak's gone out on a high. It's really, really well done this year. I don't even think it's got the full amount of actors at this point. It's doing well, or maybe it's just because I've had good run-throughs on it. I mean, it's quite easy to get to the front of the group in Creek Freak. It's similar to Altonville, where in the elevator section you can get yourself forward to near the elevator, the mine shaft bit. In this, you can get yourself close to the Goodwood door. That can kind of get you a good run through. It's just been the most consistent, I would say. Scare zones could beat it. I would like to try and see Birthday Bash, but it depends on time. Again, this is the problem. What would be nice is if they did what Towers did and actually start the shows before 3, so you could see Birthday Bash before 3, but they start at 3, so there's really nothing. But I think it's 3:30 actually, the Birthday Bash show, so yeah, there's not really much I can do about that, I'm afraid. So I'll try and see Birthday Bash, I'll try and film it, but yeah, it's going to be difficult. I think it's a fine event. I think, Creek Freak's definitely my favourite this year. Trailers is good, and I think there's been some nice little tweaks and stuff, but I don't think it's had the full actor amount. I feel like with Creek Freak, they get away with it a bit more, because in Creek Freak, they can make it feel more full. I think the problem with trailers is that because each room has to have a specific type of actor in, they can't move throughout the maze, which means if there's, for example, if there's no actors in the Seven Dolls room, they can't just get someone from another room, like it has to be the Seven Dolls doll. That was kind of the advantage to break out of Bozos, like they could probably move around the maze a little bit better with that because they were all clowns. But I would still say it's probably my second favourite. Then Terminal, biggest surprise of the night. Don't get me wrong, not a good scare attraction, but it is a scare attraction, which I can't really say that for the Invitation. It did get some scares in it. I like the effects more, I like the theming more. Inside, the outside's lacking on theming, but the inside, love the theming, love the lighting. The effects are better, and I think the actors that they have running down, like, they basically have actors like using smell pods going down, they have actors that spray water at you, and then, as I said, there was one actor where it's like they must have been holding like two like glowing orbs in a way, which meant to be like eyes, and they basically like go in front of your face with it, and that was the best jump scare because they go, ooh, actually sent a bit of a shiver up my spine, which was very good. If they do that and everyone, then that's probably worth the price of admission already. Because there's the thing, it's kind of from what you can't see in a way, and you can only see those glowing eyes. It is so effective. So it definitely beats the Invitation, but I still think as an overall package, I think it's a scare experience. It's a scare, not a scare maze, but it is a scare attraction, but it's not a very enhanced one. I think it's like on the bare basics of scare attraction, which is the biggest compliment I can give it, really. Also, I wish that they batched it like they do the Invitation. They do have 2 doors at each end, so I'm assuming they normally do batch both sides. Just today, I guess they just had less staff, maybe, I don't know. They were only batching one group at a time, which meant the queue for that was massive, but not as massive as survival games, which I just think biggest disappointment. And maybe it's because I had higher standards and didn't get the best run through, makes sense. But it just, as I say, it feels like a higher budget subspecies with less variety and not really much storyline. Barely has a pre-show. It does kind of have a pre-show. It's basically a screen where you hear a voice, but that's about it, really. At least Subspecies had like the proper pre-show, like you're in the room, you watch the screen, you have a character talk to you, and then an actor runs in, and then you get sent to the doors, we get split up. With this, you just get put in the cages straight away to get split up, which I like, but it would have been nice to have a pre-show before that to really build things up. The whole place as well is very samey. So like with Subspecies, you had like and again, I'm referring this to Subspecies because it has a very similar vibe to it, but also it is another free roam maze, and it's pretty much the only other free roam maze I've done. And don't get me wrong, I did like Subspecies, I just thought it was very hit or miss. But I think the actual maze itself, you've got to go run through, great maze. But I feel like with Subspecies, for example, you had the blackout room where you had to follow a rope, and then actors would jump in your face and with a torch and scare you. And you'd have the crawl tunnels, you go through like sewer pipes and crawl tunnels. You have the chainsaw ending. There's a load of different themed rooms which have very distinct themes. I think there was like one with it said rats something, I think, or like dead end rats or whatever. There was a bit which was all like a animal one with like a load of cages and stuff. There was a lot more variety with that, and also a lot more variety with the characters, I felt, as well. I felt like the characters in survival games were very much, they looked very samey. Like, I've seen photos of them, there is a bit of variety between them, and even filmed some of them like walking past the queue line, which was great. But yeah, like, the whole place is just very samey, it feels like there isn't too much variety. I mean, I'm sure if I looked at it really in depth, there probably would be like, I did see like there were certain theming pieces that were like specific to each room, but the whole general aesthetic was pretty much the same, and it's pretty much going through corridors rather than going through pipes or going through a blackout room or something like that. And while the finale I did like an actor with a big mallet, which always a good one. To be honest, I kind of prefer it to a chainsaw ending, but the thing with the chainsaw ending is it gives it that little bit more of a speciality, while throughout the entire maze you have actors with normal size mallets and with knives and swords and stuff like that. So it's kind of just basically a bigger version of that, while at least with a chainsaw ending it has a bit of a difference to it. So yeah, survival games, biggest disappointment. Hopefully I get some better runs tomorrow. Again, the problem is I feel it has the same hit or miss issue with Subspecies, only I feel it's more difficult for the actors to keep people in the maze. I felt like they were trying to get us out of the maze rather than keep us in. And on the best subspecies run through I had, they kept us in for ages. It was because it was on scare mazing, and they kept us in for ages, kept putting us around in circles, almost like they were tricking us. With this, it felt like they were trying to get us out, and maybe it was because there was such a big queue. I don't know, but yeah, it's a big shame, really, because also it's their biggest investment for Fright Nights, and I think from the outside it looks amazing, and on the inside it does look pretty good as well. It looks like they have put budget into it. It does look like they put effort in, but the actual experience just wasn't that great, unfortunately. I think a big question is, which do I think's better, Scarefest or Fright Nights? I could put Burton Screamfest in there as well, but I do actually think Burton Screamfest not as good as Scarefest. I would actually, I don't know whether to say Burton Screamfest is better than Fright Nights. Might be. I don't know. Again, I haven't done the scare zones yet, so I can't fully judge. But in regards to mazes, which I can kind of judge with Burton Screamfest, I'd actually say Burton Screamfest has the better mazes. Even though Creek Freak was a great run through, I don't know, I just feel like Burton Screamfest had a good amount of variety as well, like with Insomnia, for an example, and Love Hurts. You know, that was a really great theme maze, and it goes for subjects that aren't necessarily as common, while, you know, kind of like Creek Freak, I mean, it's basically a rip-off of Altonville, only with lumberjacks. And also the fact that those mazes at Burton Screamfest are all built in storage containers and stuff like that, like, that does feel more impressive in a way. I guess, especially from my vibes just from today, Burton Screamfest kind of beats Thorpe, and therefore I feel like Alton Towers Scarefest beats Thorpe as well. I just feel like, while yes, I did like Creek Freak today, I just think that Alton Towers' mazes, even like the Attic, which is my least favourite maze this year, it just blows them out of the water. I don't know, I think it's sometimes like the interaction in the Towers maze is a little bit better. Like, while he got some good scares today, I don't know whether the interaction's necessarily as good in the mazes here with the scare actors here. I still had, you know, good fair bit of fun today, but I feel like tomorrow getting through the scare zones, especially getting back into Morecambe Meadow, which was my favourite last year, so hopefully have a good run through there. Hopefully see Birthday Bash. It would be really nice to be able to see that, and see Death's Doors, which I'm very interested in, because that's basically like an adult trick-or-treat town, which is an actual scare zone rather than getting sweets, which are way overpriced. But yeah, hopefully should be able to get some footage of all that tomorrow, and then do my thoughts on those attractions tomorrow night, and maybe give some updated thoughts from my runs tomorrow on the combi. For all I know, survival games could be up a little bit. I'm sure it could beat the Terminal, just if I get a good run through. Got to get that good run through. I am now going to go and get some tea. Not in this, I'm going to change out of it. There's a McDonald's up the road, so yeah, I'm going to have a midnight snack because I'm hungry. I don't know when I'll next see you. Alton Towers Christmas, I think it's December 17th. It's the Saturday before Christmas, so whatever that is, I think it's the 17th. So yeah, I guess I'll see you next time. Bye.